Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. A few days ago, I mentioned about the Yahudi, and I told you guys they are becoming very, very powerful. In fact, what I believe is that these Yahudis, they are now the strongest in the entire time they have been around. In other words, they have reached the peak, and from now on they will go down. But the point here is that they are very, very strong. That's my point. They're dominating everything. If you take a look at the world powers, the Western countries, all of them unequivocally, they support this Yahudi. In fact, I saw actually a video. Trudeau, a Canadian Prime Minister, he was saying that we support Israel. I mean, US, they support Israel. All of these countries, Germany, France, UK. UK is actually the architecture of this state. They were the one who gave birth to, essentially gave birth to Israel. So the point here is that they are very, very strong right now, Israel, the Yahudi, they're very, very strong. You cannot compete with them in any way, shape or form, because they are, again, they are not only strong on their own, but also they have support from all around the world. Now here is the good news. You need to hear this, because when we go through a time of critical time, when we go through tough time, when we go through a lot of challenges, Allah Azza wa Jal would, at the same time, because as I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that indeed Allah is with the believers. Allah Azza wa Jal would not let us face this gigantic power, I should say maybe power pack, on our own. In other words, Allah Azza wa Jal will create an environment where Muslims, they will be able to empower themselves. They will be able to come out stronger to meet the enemy. So because right now, as I said, they're so strong, Israel, the Yahudi, they're so strong, you and I can do nothing. But at the same time, Allah is opening the heart and minds of some Muslim countries. So this is the reason why I wanted to really make this video, because I want to share this news with you. So let's take a look at this news. In this news, what you will see is something unprecedented, something nobody expected. And that is the Middle Eastern countries, some of them, at least some of them, are now trying to normalize ties. So in other words, Saudi Arabia is trying to reach out to Iran, trying to normalize their ties, relationship. At the same time, Turkey and Egypt, they are also meeting. They're also trying to normalize their ties, as well as UAE and some other countries. So before I show you this video, actually, this news, so there is a call. I have seen actually a news the other day where somebody said that maybe Erdogan would create an army to defend Al-Quds. That would not be possible, and I don't think that will happen, because that would mean really direct confrontation with Israel, with the Yahudi. They will not do that. Erdogan will not form the army. But the talks are there. People are talking about it. There is some news report that said Erdogan talked to Mohammed bin Salman and some other leaders from Qatar, for example, try to convince them so that they would form a military force against the Yahudi to defend the Palestinians. That's what the rumor is. I don't believe that will happen, again, because that would mean a direct war with the Yahudi, and that would, completely annihilate the humanity we know today. So just on that issue, there will be big consequence. So that will not happen. However, what I believe Erdogan would try to do, even though maybe he will not be able to do it directly, but what he might do is that he would try to come to certain kind of like a treaty or a pact with the Yahudi and the rest of the allies of the Yahudi, so that they would feel that now we have a Muslim force who are uniting against us. That even if Erdogan does even that much with the help of Saudis and UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Iran, if they all get together and say that we are defending, we are protecting, we are taking responsibility of the Palestinians, and that we need to strike a deal, we need to come to a solution, to a state solution, whatever it is, then at least the Yahudi and its allies will think twice before they would violate the human rights of the Palestinians next time. That is a possibility simply because of what is happening right now in the Middle Eastern countries. Right now we know Biden, this is very, very important, Joe Biden and America, their priority is not the Middle Eastern countries anymore. They withdraw troops from Afghanistan, they are withdrawing from there. They have diverted their military asset to other countries like China and Russia. And they are not focused on Middle East. They cannot afford to focus on Middle East because in the last decades, when they were focusing on Middle East, influencing their policies, their politics, because of that reason, now they're seeing, China has grown so big and strong that all of a sudden they're facing this huge challenge from China who would now, about to become the next superpower and knock out US. And this is not what US wants. So they made a mistake. Now they're realizing we made a mistake by focusing too much on the Muslims, on the Middle Eastern policies, when we should have actually focused on China instead. But because of this, they are shifting their focus from Middle East to China and Russia. Because of this reason, the Middle Eastern countries are now getting back together. They're saying that, hey, look, US influence in this region will not be the same as it was before. So let's come to a solution, let's negotiate, let's make deals, let's normalize ties. And if we do that, obviously, and if they do that, I should say, obviously Erdogan would also raise the issue of defending the Palestinian as well as Iran. Iran cares about the Palestinians more than other Sunni Muslim countries. Wallahi, this is the reality of it. But subhanallah, this is something happening right now. As I said in the beginning, Allah Azza wa Jal will not let the believer to be a victim all the time. Allah will not let us to not be united against our enemy all the time. We will have ups and downs, but it will not be down all the time. We will rise up, and this is a good news according to what I can tell you, that some of these Muslim countries are getting on the negotiating table. They are talking about it. If they are united, then of course, inshallah, I hope that in the next 5-10 years, Turkey will become probably one of the most powerful Muslim countries, if not the powerful country in the world in terms of the Muslim population. And subhanallah, this is what I was thinking. Now there is a little bit of problem with that. I should say big problem in terms of bringing all the Muslim countries on the negotiating table. There is one big problem. And I personally believe that problem would come from UAE. UAE might come and say, we do not like Turkey. We do not need Turkey because we are rich nation. UAE is the only country in the Middle East who believes that this country can survive on its own without any natural resources, because UAE, United Arab Emirates, their main revenue comes from their port, Dubai port. All of the businesses that happen in the Middle East, even throughout the world, it happens through these ports in UAE. So UAE doesn't need oil money. UAE doesn't need Turkish money, Saudi's money. In fact, a lot of these countries, they need UAE, United Arab Emirates. So Mohammed bin Zayed, he might come and say, you know what, I don't think we need to, have Turkey's voice to be the dominant one. We want something more kind of like in balance, not giving them absolute power, because Erdogan, Turkey, they would try to lead. Okay, this is their nature. The Turks, their nature is that they will lead. They have led for the last 600 years since the Ottoman Empire. They will continue. They would want to continue to lead the Muslim world. They want to get back to the Muslim world and bring the Muslims together. They will still do it. But UAE would say no, don't. We will not accept your dominance. Hopefully that will not be a big issue, but if there is any issue for the Muslim countries to be united, it will come from UAE. That's my point. I have few comments here from brother Farid Said. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sabr is only our weapon. Inshallah, Palestine will be free. Inshallah, stay alert. Muhammad Rizwan, wa alaikum assalam. Stay alert. Hey brother, can I ask you where you're from? I'm from Bangladeshi. Rubel Khan, Myra, the day of resurrection is closer than we think. May Allah protect the Muslim Ummah, day is near. So dear brothers and sisters, again, the reason I want to make this video is because I believe we have some real good news after observing what is happening in the world, especially since Joe Biden, the American president, came into power. I can tell you that inshallah we are heading towards the right direction, and by the grace and mercy of Allah and through his promise, inshallah, we will see a good day coming in the future, especially for our brothers and sisters who are being oppressed in places like Palestine, India, Kashmir, places like Syria, Iraq, and many other parts of the world. If you are new here, again, consider subscribing, like this video. If you did, share this video. Inshallah, I will see you soon again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.